Hey, how's it going? I am starting out with my first knife review here. My last video I kind of did my collections over the past year or so, since February. And I've collected some 40 some odd knives, and this is one of my highest end knives that I might be getting rid of soon in a trade. So I did want to review this before there's a chance of it being gone. This is the Reeve tie lock. Very cool knife, innovated and collaboration between Chris Reeve and Grant and Gavin Hawk. So just to do a quick rundown of the specs, and basically what I want to do is just do a quick just impressions video, and maybe run through some of the specs and then do like a quick size comparison between some commonly known knives, so you do get a better idea of how this knife shapes up against different other knives out there. So the blade here is a 3.25 inch blade. It is stone washed. You can kind of see in that reflection. So it is reflecting the light, but there you go. You can see the stone wash of the blade. So the typical Chris Reeve stone wash, which is just awesome. And this is also a second generation tie lock. So it has the stone wash finishing as well on the handles, instead of the first generation that apparently had the sandblasted handles like the Sebenza that we are all too familiar with. So the finish was very much more like this clip that was also an innovation of Grant and Gavin Hawk. The clip here has this lever, kind of a spring lever here, so that you're able to push it up and slide it into your pocket very easily. So there's a lower profile where the clip hits the scale, but there's a higher profile because of the way that this clip runs up. As well, it kind of goes beyond the end of the frame here as well. So some people love this clip and some people aren't that great of a fan. I'm kind of neither here nor there. I kind of like it and don't really care too much. Clip's a clip in general, as long as it doesn't fall out. So yeah, it's not going to fall out of my pocket or anything like that. So on with some of the specs. The handle is 3.94 inches. So overall, I guess you have about a 7.1 to 7.25 inch overall length on this blade, or on this knife here. Obviously, because of the new innovative lock style that Chris Reeve put on this knife, there are no locking mechanisms on this frame. It's one solid piece of titanium on both sides, and one of the things that he was saying in his description of this knife was that it allowed for him to do some design on the scales here, and so he hollowed out these things and the scales, and it serves as some gripping, which is pretty good. It's not like G10. It's still gonna kind of slip on this titanium and stuff like that, and obviously there's no jimping on the top or within the choils or anything like that. So your main gripping is here, but nobody really holds it like this either. So as you're holding it like this, it's pretty much your hand in the frame, no jimping. Even though I don't know, I have grip this way if I'm pushing on the bronze barrel here. The lock works as it's a tie. They call it tie lock because it's this titanium spring. This anodized blue part is a titanium spring, kind of like a lever spring. And as you pull this barrel up, you can see how that spring flexes up, and that barrel sits within this groove when it's locked up, and kind of just rolls on top of there, and then it's solidly in place. No blade play whatsoever, as you'd expect from any Chris Reeve knife. When the lock is actuated, this barrel runs, or actually it rolls. I don't know if you can't really see it, but if I roll my finger on here, the barrel actually rolls up and down this little milled out part on the frame, so that serves as the blade retention. There's no there's no hole or ball detent or anything like that. It's just this barrel that holds it in place, and then it runs along this. You can obviously see I can open it one-handed by rolling up this barrel here, and then as it goes up here and goes over this little hump, then it just falls into that notch, and then the spring holds it into place. So it is a cool lock. It is very innovative. The first time I got this and started playing with it, I just thought it was one of the coolest things. But I probably say that about every knife as well. So that's one of the innovative features. And the other thing that's different between this knife and the Sebenza or the Umnumzan, inside the pivot area, one, you have a very thick pivot screws, probably not as thick as a Strider or as a Umnumzan, but it is very thick, so it kind of, it looks and seems and feels pretty strong. But also inside is either a Teflon or plastic washer that has ball bearings inlaid with inside the ball bearings. So as the blade tang rotates around the pivot, it actually rolls against the bearings. So it's not considered like IKBS or anything like that, or the new KVT and the Kershaw or zero tolerance blades, but it's very smooth. Just as, if not more smooth than, opening up a Sebenza or a Umnumzan or any other thing that you'd expect from Chris Reeve. So overall, I think this is a great gentleman's carry knife, great EDC knife. It's going to be able to hold up to any kind of normal EDC task that you would be involved with. If I was going camping or something, it's not the knife that I would pick. Yeah, it is a great just knife in general. I'm going to do a quick size comparison with some commonly known knives. This is the large Sebenza. You can get a taste of how big this compares to. This is a small Sebenza. These are in micarta. Here's a paramilitary. These are, and then this is the Spyderco Tenacious. So this is how the tie lock compares in terms of closed lengths, and then opened. Obviously the perspective is going to be a little bit skewed since the camera is in a diagonal position, but I think it still gives a good enough view of how these knives measure up. I think it's most comparable to the small Sebenza in size, and I'll do a quick comparison of those two. But that's how the tie lock stacks up against the rest of these commonly known knives. Again, if we bring these two closer to the camera, supposedly the blade length of the Sebenza is 2.95, I believe, inches, against the 3.25 inches of the tie lock, and then overall the frame size and everything is about the same. So when I have the two ends of the knives next to each other, you see how much longer the tie lock is compared to the small Sebenza. So it's pretty well lined up. Alright, so that's the Chris Reeve tie lock. Hope you enjoyed the review. Please subscribe as I'm getting into this, and hopefully you enjoyed this, and I'll get some other knives out there. Alright, thanks a lot.